呢度有一段係班農嘅講話班農我直接將佢放出嚟等大家聽聽。
3 weeks into the Trump administration, Prime Minister Abe was welcomed to the White House and then to Mar-a-Lago, the president's private retreat, his winter White House, because of the personal connection, the personal respect, the personal affinity that he feels for Prime Minister Abe. That weekend in 2 days, one in Washington, D.C. with Prime Minister Abe and his team, and then Mar-a-Lago. The conversation was essentially around one topic. There were other side discussions on trade and other discussions, but the topic was one topic: China. Prime Minister Abe understood before anybody else, and certainly the elites in the United States and in Europe, that what we've allowed to develop over the last 20, 25 years is the most significant danger to world peace and prosperity that's ever been created. And how was it created? Who created it and who profited off this? This is not about the Chinese people. I have a great affinity and love for the Chinese people. I've lived in Shanghai, I've owned businesses in China, in mainland China, in Hong Kong. I've spent many, many years in and out of there. I have a great affinity for the noble Chinese people and some of the things that they've gone through. This is about a radical cadre of the Chinese Communist Party. This is a radical cadre of the CCP around President Xi and Wan Xishan and that group of henchmen around him. China is a nation of 1.4 billion people. The Communist Party in China is what, 60 to 80 million people? You look at any of the organization charts, there's essentially 1 million to 5 million people that are decision makers in the whole apparatus. And essentially under 1,000 people matter. And they have run today the world's largest prison, of where they manufacture the world's goods, essentially, with technology, either forced technology transfer from Japan in the United States or stolen, manufactured by slave labor, and essentially exported to the rest of the world, to the unemployed and underemployed, because of their exporting of deflation and overcapacity. Between the time that we won and Prime Minister Abe came to Trump Tower in November, and the time we had the summit meeting with Prime Minister Abe in Mar-a-Lago, the third week of January, kind of right in the middle, there were 2 speeches given. One speech was in Davos at the World Economic Forum, and the other was in Washington, D.C., as President Trump's inauguration speech. President Xi went to Davos. He was a late add to the program. And the reason was he was going to give a speech that was going to lay out the China dream, Xi thought, the great program of Emperor Xi. And Donald Trump a few days later was going to give his inaugural address. Xi's address is one of the most important speeches of the 21st century, and if you have not had a chance to see it or read it, I strongly recommend you do. Because he lays out in quite a bit of detail the Chinese strategy of world domination. And it is world domination. Starts with domination of East Asia, then expands out with the South China Sea and the East China Sea for the control of the Pacific, then with One Belt, One Road It goes to the control of the Eurasian landmass and then through sub-Saharan Africa and the Caribbean and South America and then back around. With China at the center of that as an advanced manufacturing empire. In the tributary states of Japan and the United States and the industrial democracies, all essentially administrative units. She lays this out in pretty good detail. Talks about globalization, how successful globalization has been, how it works. The scientific, managerial, engineering, cultural, and financial elite at Davos, and their cocktail parties and all the big shots in the world, with the world's most sophisticated media, the Financial Times of London, The Economist, BBC, the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, all of them. Standing ovation for Xi. She's the hero. He's the spokesman for globalism. In this speech, he actually points to where all the world's problems come from. He says, I see where the world's problems come from. It's these nationalists, right? It's these populists. That's the dissenting voice. That's all these grubby folks. It's the followers of Abe. It's the followers of Trump. It's the followers of Salvini. It's the followers of Orban. It's the followers of Le Pen. It's the followers of, ultimately, Bolsonaro or Modi. What they worship in Davos, because Davos is high church. Remember, this is theology. This is a new religion. They have no moral authority. The Financial Times and The Economist and all the smart investment bankers and all the smart commercial bankers, they understand what's going on in China. Everybody understands what's going on in China. They understand the camps of the Uyghurs. They understand the persecution of the Christians. They understand that the democracy movement, what's happened to them. They understand what's happened in Tibet. In Davos, they worship the dollar. The world's economic and financial elite have no moral standing.
班農嗰啲番説話呢，大家都聽得好清楚啦，應該諗一諗啊！呢個係非常之深刻咁樣揭露咗中國嘅現實同埋中共嘅嗰種邪惡啊！我哋中國人真係應該要諗啦，諗清楚啦。